Hello and welcome to the Oddschecker Betting Show. This is your Usyk versus Fury preview, and I'm delighted to be joined by Dom McGuinness and Anthony Crolla. This is sponsored by Parimatch, and we're going to discuss the big fight in Saudi Arabia. All right, well, let's jump straight in then. We'll start. The bookmakers can't split these guys.
Yeah.
Can you?
Well, it is, again, you hear the cliche about 50-50 fights all the time, don't you? But this is one that is very, very hard to call. And as you say, that's why you can see the odds are the way they are. I think so much has been said already, so much is going to be said like prior to this in terms of the 6'9", bigger reach, bigger man, much heavier Tyson Fury, who has the skills as well, against Usyk, much smaller, of course, unified cruiserweight, looking to do only what Lennox Lewis and Evander Holyfield have done before in terms of unifying two divisions. So it's fantastic. I mean, Usyk is the only person on the planet, I think, that could really kind of get in Fury's head.
Yeah.
In terms of the
or
way
maybe
he can't.
Yeah,
he
maybe
can't
the
be,
fact Fury can't get into Usyk's head.
Yeah.
But no, I think I'm very much like them. It's such a tough one to call, but I believe it's even tougher to call before the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou fight took place. I think before that fight, I think Fury was not a heavy favourite, but he was, you know, it was a favourite for sure. But the performance against Ngannou left a lot of people shocked, and I believe since that, I think there's no denying that when what Anthony Joshua went and done to Francis Ngannou, what a lot of people thought Tyson Fury should have done.
He wasn't fit though, was he?
No, he absolutely wasn't.
He hadn't
fit.
trained
I mean, I
properly
think
for that, so.
Tyson's never body beautiful, but I think that fight it was pretty clear to see, and the way he was talking, he could have 20 pints and still beat Francis Ngannou, and he'd seriously underestimated him for sure.
So Tony Bellew's been quite vocal on his views on this fight,
Yeah.
and he doesn't think Fury can win here.
He doesn't.
Do you disagree?
Wow. I do disagree.
You can see, obviously, Tony's been in
Yeah.
with Usyk, and it was the most painful night of his career, I think, apart from maybe the Adonis Stevenson fight, when he was fighting at a different weight, obviously. But
Tony did have success.
He
I was
did,
actually on the fight before them.
That's
Not
right.
making it about myself. I was on the fight before them.
How long that take?
But Tony did have success, but people, I think Tony says it himself. There was rounds which was close and looked competitive, but it was the old saying. Some people say, "Geez, Usyk was sort of downloading data where he was making Tony work so hard for what success he was getting." And obviously, Tony was in the shape of his life. He was fitter than he's ever been. He was exhausted after 4 or 5 rounds. And he says that. And I think it's because they're constantly making you think, constantly making you react to things. Thinking makes you tired. And never mind when you've got someone with the skill set of Oleksandar Usyk who can punish you then when you become tired. And that's what he does. And that's why I think he rates him so highly. But listen, not just that. I mean, you've only got to look at what he's done from the amateurs in the cruiserweight division. What he's then done in the heavyweight division, it's nothing short of unbelievable. But so I'll cut them off there. I'll see what he says. Where I don't agree with Tony Bellew in the sense where I think when someone with Tyson Fury's size and who's as agile as him and he's pulled out some of the performances he has done in the past, I don't think you could ever count him out. I don't think you could ever count him out. And like I said, I believe before the Francis Ngannou fight, he definitely was a favourite. But since then, yeah.
I think that's always been the thing. I mean, a lot of people, like myself, have said a long time ago, I'm never going to go against Fury ever again because he can prove you wrong and the Wilder stuff and everything else. But you can actually counter that as well. What has the trilogy with Wilder taken out of him?
I must say this all the time.
Because we saw in Ngannou, is that because he came in out of shape and he just wasn't switched on and all these reasons that would make a lot of sense? Or is he a fading force? And on that again, and also what we've got to think about, is this all going to get messy with the cut? Potentially as well. I mean, there's so many imponderables about this fight because obviously the cut that's delayed this fight could be a factor. We know about his size, but is he aging? Even though he's the younger man by 2 years, because Usyk's 37, he's 35.
I think the biggest thing Dom said then, and I think it thought about myself, and it wasn't until I heard someone say it, so I really thought about it. We saw Deontay Wilder against Joseph Parker, and there's no denying this. Joseph Parker performed out of his skin that night and he won. But we're also no denying that wasn't the same Deontay Wilder we've seen for a long time. You know, hitting people on the chin, Iron Martin. No, he didn't have that same. I think you saw the post-fight interview and everything like. He just didn't seem the same fighter, and people go on about, there's no denying those Tyson Fury fights took an awful lot out of Deontay Wilder, but not many people ask what did they take out of Tyson Fury. No, but they was tough fights, especially that third one. It was the real slugfest, a real great heavyweight fight of recent times. And if it has took that little bit out of Tyson and it took away a little bit of that speed and a little bit of that agility, Oleksandar Usyk, that kind of punch your worst nightmare.
Cool. Well, you both agree there then. What I'm keen to hear then is, how does Fury win? Has Usyk got any weaknesses that you think Fury will look to exploit?
Size.
Just size?
I mean, you just think he's got a 6-inch height advantage. He's got all the weight advantage. He's got, I think, about 8 inches reach advantage. So, I mean, again, when the old cliche about a good big un beats a good little un, but Usyk is very special. So does that really, again, you can make arguments all the way through this, but that, again, does Fury, which I think obviously the neutrals would love to see Fury jump on him like he jumped on Wilder in the second fight. Would he do that? I don't think so. I don't think he's that daft to do. I think he's going to be a little bit too respectful of Usyk's skills and the fact that, you know, he's not got power like a super heavyweight power like a, I don't know, even a Joshua maybe, but he's got power. And you know, Fury's been put down by cruiserweights before, Steve Cunningham being the prime example. So he can get put, as we've seen in the Wilder fights, he can get put down. So I think he'd be respectful. I think it could be a bit of a stinker for a few rounds. I think they'll look at each other. And then that's how, I mean, I can see, you can make a case from winning on skills, Fury, even though Usyk is super skilled. You can make a case from leaning on him and making it horrible and just trying to use his size. But
listen, I'm really, really looking forward to this fight, as is, I think, the whole boxing world. But Dom said something then, and I agree. I've got a feeling it's not going to be this. It's not going to be like a Fury Wilder 3, what's a slugfest up and down. I think it could get very messy. I think it's going to be very cagey for the first 4 rounds, and I think depending on how you score those first 4 rounds could become important later on in the fight. I think it's going to go to a close decision, possibly controversial. But how does he do it? Like you said, size. I mean, it can't just be size. I think, and again, this sort of goes back to size, but I think he's got to try and zap the legs of Usyk. He's got to try and take the legs away from Usyk. I won't be surprised if we see Tyson Fury hit the body a little bit as well. I really wouldn't, to try and slow him down. Sugar Ray, he's always said, listen, we train for the knockout. That's the Kronk style. That's what they do. And you're talking about one of the biggest heavyweights in the world. I remember us speaking to him, and he was like, how's this guy not using his size and strength? He's not using it. You know, it's nice and being fleet-footed and stuff like that, but he's not using his strength. And it was almost a bit of like a master plan when he stuck it on Deontay Wilder. But when you think about it, it's probably a little bit of common sense as well. I know it's dangerous with a puncher like Wilder. But I think with Fury, I think how he does it, I think it's going to be cagey in the first one. He can't let Usyk get into a rhythm. He cannot let him get into a rhythm, because if Usyk gets into a rhythm, he's unbelievably hard to get out of it. I think he has got to start fast. He can't be reckless, but he's got to start fast and make Usyk engage a little bit early on. That's my opinion.
Cool. Well, Dom, you mentioned it a little bit earlier, pulling out of the first fight with the cut. How much of an impact do you think that will weigh on Tyson Fury, or do you think he's forgotten about that now?
It's the kind of bloker thing that it probably won't cost him any thought. He'll just get in there. He's not bothered. I mean, he'll just get in and do what he does. It could well be a factor in. We don't know, do we? You never really know, do you?
No, but I think
you
it's
never know with a
certainly...
cut, and it was a big, it was a deep.
It was a
gash,
bad one, wasn't it? I think it certainly is.
But I don't think it's going to play any part in his
not
mentality.
Tyson.
No.
He will not go into that ring with that mentality. Not at all. But there'll be people around him who can't help but be worrying. But I don't think Tyson Fury, the way he is, there's no way I can see him playing, on his mind whatsoever.
Nice. So let's move on to the betting then. We kind of mentioned how tight it is. Parimatch, our sponsors, have Fury at 4-5 to win, and Usyk even. So unbelievably tight. And in fact, actually, it's a good time to tell you about Parimatch's exclusive offer. They're offering 60-1 to pick the winner. For new accounts, £1 max stake. So obviously, that's pretty nice. If you don't have an account with them, go down in the bio, and there'll be a nice link for you to make the most of that, because, super tight. So Dom, I'm going to come to you first, and I want to hear your betting tip.
Yeah, it's a horrible one to actually get. Do you know what? I was just having to think about it, and there's a rematch clause as well. I don't know. I can see it being super, super tight, and because of the reasons we've just said, Fury being quite respectful, Usyk doing what he does. He went 24 rounds with Joshua. I think we're going to see a fight that goes the distance, and I wouldn't be surprised to see a draw. Oh. That sets up the second fight.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's not, is it? Because it's a valid tip, if you like. I mean,
fair.
The draw. I mean, what price the draw? Because I do think that it sets up the rematch then really well, and if there's controversy, one wins, obviously we're going to do it again, but then there's talk about a third, and I don't know. I just can see it being really, really tight. But again, nobody wants to see a draw. You never want to see a draw. Don't get me wrong. And you can say nothing about this fight with any confidence, can you? Let's face it.
I don't know.
Because anything can happen.
Outcomes.
Fury, I understand why he might be a tiny favourite, but then you can make a million reasons why Usyk wins. But if you push me, I think it's probably worth a cheeky couple of pound on a draw.
Nice. I think the draw is 14-1 with Parimatch, so decent price there. And interestingly, 15% of bets that have been placed through oddschecker have been on the draw, so there is a bit of appetite there for it.
You then, Dom. I know I'm saying that there. I totally do get that though, because I could see it's that kind of fight, that kind of 50 fight where I could see all outcomes. The only outcome I'd be shocked at is an Oleksandar Usyk inside the distance. I'd be really, really surprised if that happened, but I could see the other four. But my prediction, right, okay. At one point, I thought Tyson Fury late on. I think he'll make size pay. He'll make size count, sorry, and he'll drain the legs of Oleksandar Usyk, and he'll catch up with him late on. The nerves now, my thoughts now, since the Ngannou fight, I can't help but question that. However, I've said it for a long, long time. A fit and focused Tyson Fury, I believe, is the best heavyweight on the planet. I think he takes a close points decision. I really do. I don't know if there's any odds for any kind of majority or split. I'd be tempted to go on that. But in all, my prediction, Tyson Fury on points.
Nice. I think that's 7-4 on points. So again, two nice tips there for you to keep in mind when you're placing your bets this weekend. Moving on to the undercard then, what are your thoughts?
Well, we're chatting about this before. There's a couple of belters on there.
Yeah,
I mean,
one of our favourites is on it, isn't it?
Yeah, there's in terms of fights, you expect that, like Moses Atoma to win and to win well. And I think really what you look at with him is it going to be a first round job?
First round or
he's
second,
in against the Kazakh-born German Mezenchev, who's he's lost to Tom Schwartz twice.
Yeah.
There's the Fury link with that. Yeah. And I think Moses is the real deal. I mean, he's some
a
kid.
Special talent.
So it's when he gets to him, you feel. Yeah. Now, so I would imagine that'll be very early. But other than that, there's some great fights. I mean, the two leading up to the main event.
Yeah, really happy with both of them, with obviously two lads we know well in Joe Cardina and Kakachi. Kakachi's finally getting his chance. Joe, he's a special talent.
Well, I mean, Kakachi, when you think he's 35,
so long
he's been really unlucky,
about him, man. So long they've raved about him.
He was sparring you back in 2017.
Well, I was going to say, I didn't want to make it about myself again. I'm
just giving you a tap in there.
Okay, yeah. So 2016, I brought him over, and everyone he come over on the recommendation of. I know Carl Frampton says he's one of the most talented fighters he's ever worked alongside, and he really is. And listen, timing could be everything, but he's finally getting his chance. But again, when you look at Joe Cardina as well, you look at people from that Olympic squad, and there were some unbelievable names in that. And I always remember seeing some kind of poll or something, and the fighters in the squad, they were like pound for pound, that's who they rated the best. Unbelievable fighter. And that's what I say, one of our very favourites is Jai Opetaia, who's fighting in a rematch against Marius Bradis. The first fight, a phenomenal fight, wasn't it? I think he's shown his toughness. He come through a broken jaw, didn't he, from early on. Opetaia to relieve Bradis to the title. I think I'm right in saying that, aren't I? So they go at it again. But I think, my predictions for them, what'd you go, Cardina, Kakachi?
Well, Cardina's a few years younger than Kakachi, but he's 32 now, Cardina. He still looks like a kid, doesn't he? Really, he's a very fresh face. But you would look at that and think it's going to favour Cardina, but you wouldn't write Kakachi out. I mean, again, his record doesn't suggest the power that he has.
Yeah, but everyone does talk about the power that.
You've been on the
he can certainly whack. He can certainly whack. So, but I think you have got. If Kakachi is to do it, you'd expect it to be inside the distance. I think Listen, both great lads. I think you'd lean to Cardina now for sure. It's just whether he catches up with Anto later on in the fight, or does he just outbox him? I think it's, I think Joe on points. Anto's a great move. It probably seems a smart bet there, doesn't it?
Yeah, I mean, with Opatai and Breeders, I mean, you'd expect him to get the job done and more clinical, because it was a good fight.
Absolutely.
But Opatai, I think, is the heir apparent to Usyk's cruiserweight.
He really is, and
titles, if you like, and being the number one. I mean, Opatai is a very, very special talent, I think.
He's a violent, I think a very violent man.
individual.
And I think when you look at, some of the fights, and I think last time out you saw it on points, but I just think since that, I think I'm very, very confident we see Opatai do it, and we see him do it inside 6.
Yeah.
Could be earlier, just in my opinion, and I know that's after the last fight being such a good fight and the back and forth. And you've got to remember, Brady's lost to 2 people. He lost that great fight, so Opatai just said, and he lost another great fight. He gave Oleksandar Usyk arguably his hardest fight. It was an unbelievable fight. He pushed Usyk to the absolute wire. So he's been a quality fighter since then. He won the World Boxing Super Series. I just believe the last few years, if anything sort of to go by outside of the ring, he was chasing a Jake Paul fight at one point, and I just believe now, could be wrong. You've got a man who's so business business like in one way, like chasing that kind of fight, and then you've got another man who's just Eddie's on the job. Like he told us, I don't care about all this. I don't care about the social media. I just want to prove I'm the best. I just want to fight the best and prove I'm the best. I just believe we'll see a fast start from Jai Opetaia, and I think he gets it done. I think he gets it done early, certainly inside 6 rounds.
It's been a bad time as well, a bad few months for Australian boxing, and he needs to pull that record straight. I mean, obviously Johnson got the title in controversial circumstances against Nina Hughes, although she's Kiwi born as well. So but in terms of like Tim Tszyu losing, and then obviously Cambosius got beaten up by another of your old mates. I'm making it about you again.
We don't want to talk about that one.
Yeah.
Well, it sounds like we're in for a fabulous evening of boxing anyway, but I want to look a little further afield then. So regardless of the result, so if Fury loses, what's next for him? If he wins, what's next for him? Are we ever getting the Joshua fight?
Yeah, well, the rematch is a complication, obviously.
Yeah, of course.
We just got to wait and see how the fight pans out, I suppose, because a lot will depend on that. I mean, if he was to get blitzed, which you can never imagine.
I really dislike the when an immediate rematch gets agreed before it, because I think we just mentioned a fella then, and no disrespect, when George Kambosos lost to Devin Haney, he lost very convincing. Absolutely no one wanted to see the second fight. No one wanted to. So now, and to be honest though, I don't see that being the case where we see a clear winner on Saturday night with Tyson Fury, Oleksandar Usyk. But if we do, is the demand going to be there for a second? They just want to see they want to see, if Tyson Fury is to do the job in convincing, they want to see him in anti-Joshua next. They don't want to see a rematch with Oleksandar Usyk if he's just beat him convincing. Like I said, but I do think that probably is going to warrant a rematch. I see it being close. But I think either way, I think for the first time in a long, long time, the man over in Saudi Arabia, Turk Al-Sheikh, he's putting the fights together. And he said about he wants to make Fury's Joshua happen. And I'd now be surprised. I'd be more surprised if it doesn't happen. Now that's been mentioned, it just depends. Really depends on Tyson Fury. Listen, if Oleksandar Usyk comes up short, I just think he'll come again and he'll hang around. I think a loss would be, I know I'm contradicting myself here because I do still believe we'll see Fury Joshua, but I think a loss would be more damaging to Tyson. I do believe a loss would be more damaging to Tyson than Oleksandar Usyk. But I keep forgetting that someone's has got, unless we get a draw like Dom says, someone's always going on Saturday night.
Yeah, for sure. So to put you on the spot again, if the Joshua fight does happen, who's winning that?
I'd always go with Fury. I mean, this is the only reason when you don't go with Fury is because Usyk's a slightly different proposition. That said, obviously, Joshua, the way he dealt with Ngannou was excellent and kind of embarrassed Fury a little bit. And Josh has found his spite again, and it's great to see. So I think whereas I would have, like a few years ago, very confidently with Fury. Now I wouldn't be that confident, don't get me wrong.
I'm the same.
But I'd probably still edge Fury's skills, and I think he's probably, again, Usyk could frustrate Joshua over 24 rounds, and I think Fury could do the very same, basically. But I'd give Joshua a massive shout in it. because he's got his oomph again.
I'd give him much more of a shout now, and also in the way that he's now teamed up with Ben Davison, the team.
Who knows Fury inside?
Who knows Fury
as well,
inside out? Yeah. So that I think is a major thing, and I believe Anthony Joshua now that a little bit of the pressure's gone off him.
Yeah, he's not. I think that's
so
dead right.
He can enjoy it more now. I think the last few fights we've seen a little bit of the old ruthless Anthony Joshua, one that we've missed so long, not overthinking things, and I think he couldn't overthink things with Tyson Fury. Listen, with Dom, I still think you've got to make Tyson a favourite, but I think it's a very different fight to it was the last few years.
Yeah. Right, last question then, again on the spot. I want your top 5 heavyweights currently.
Oh, go on.
Do you want to go first? You've got the two, obviously.
Yeah, the two. Obviously. 1 and 2 is going to be decided on Saturday night.
Then, I mean, I said this, I think last time. I think Daniel's crept into that mix.
Arguably, yeah. Arguably.
But then obviously...
I thought he'd done much better against Oleksandar Usyk than a lot of people. Low blow, controversy aside.
Yeah.
I thought he'd done well. Does he fit in?
And is Wilder still there? Is Parker in there?
I think you've got to put Parker in there now. A name I'm going to put in there, which some people go, well, who's he beat to say that? But I would back him against a lot of them. Martin Bukola. Impressed with Martin Bukola. I've said, listen, I can't see him yet, but I do think he's the head to the throne.
You'd go those two, 1-2, and then Joshua 3 at the minute.
Yeah, 1, 2, and 3.
And then so the other 2 places are up for grabs.
Are up for grabs, yeah. Do you go
with the names that we've said? Yeah, Hrgovic.
Zhang, but then Zhang.
Joe Joyce. Again, they're all...
It's such a tough one, I think. Yeah, it's hard, and I've been one of Joe's biggest fans.
Here's one for you. You throw Moses in there now.
Well, I just said that. but you probably can't because of records yet. No, I said, I believe he's the heir apparent, but you couldn't put him that high up just yet. Again, Dubois, there's so many, but they're the 3. 1 and 2 will be decided Saturday. I think Joshua's got to go in there.
Yeah.
I think Joseph Parker's got to go in there, and then that 5th place up for discussion. But I'd love to see Mike Bukola in with some of them. We saw him over here in the Saudi shows. So it'd be interesting. Anything to add, Dom, or?
No, that 5th place. Would you throw Wilder in there now because of his pedigree and, on his way back a little bit? Is he on the slide? I don't know.
I believe he is, but we'll see.
But Daniel's still so young and so experienced, so he can still. He's still on. He's got plenty of time to still improve, if you like.
Yeah, it could be hard to. You could just juggle them all about when you're in the top 10. I think we need a top 10 rather than top 5.
Here's an idea. Let's do a 5v5.
Okay. Yeah. Eddie and Frank.
Right, that's it for today. Then that's a wrap. Thanks very much for joining our Fury versus Usyk preview. Thanks to both of you for joining me. A quick reminder before we go over the Parimatch offer. They're offering 60-1 to pick the winner from the big fight. New accounts only. You can find the link in the bio, so make use of that if you don't have an account with them. And head to oddschecker to compare all of the odds for the big fights and the undercard that we discussed too. Thanks for watching.